Hello everyone and welcome. I've got a load more Pitchcar stuff. Played the base game, absolutely loving it. I couldn't not pick up more stuff. So we've got expansion 1 and 2, 5 and 6. Those are the ones I've picked up. Let's start and have a look at what is in the expansion number 1. So opening this up, we've got this little leaflet. Basically showing us a nice little track design as well as what is in the included in this mini extension or mini extension 1. So looks like you could potentially use this with either, though not sure how because the mini is different sized. So we've got the bridge, we've got the bit that goes through the middle. And we've got the jump, which is interesting because I thought the jump, and in the pictures, the jump is wood color, but it is not in this box. But for instance, it's not necessarily a problem, but the track would sit something like this, and you could go over and then underneath, which is quite nice. Interesting that then that looks a bit weird. That's a bit of a shame. This feels a little bit rougher. It's not quite as smooth as the normal track, but I suppose you don't want things going over these too fast. And also, I'm probably going to use these more as two separate jumps rather than that tunnel quite often. So there is that piece. You might be thinking that's got a flat edge. So let's jump through this box and have a look. These two pieces here allow it to go up to that edge. So basically, it sits like that with one of these pieces here, so you can actually get through. That's how that works. That's a really, really cool piece. I think you could use like that flat edge to do other bits as well. Included in this set, there is also one of these. I've seen a lot of people use both lines and make it a really restricted track, but I'd be tempted just to use one or the other to sort of limit the track, probably this one, because then they're having to go round with the danger of coming off the edge. And then there are 4 of these corner pieces. These corners, again, so you can basically have 2 lanes of traffic. It's quite an interesting one. You could still use it just as 4 corners if you really wanted to. Not sure why you would ever only put the inside one on. And there's plenty of these barriers included. Not sure why you'd ever just do that, because that would make going outside really risky. But you have that option. And that is all in this one box. I'm going to put these bits away and then we'll move on to box 2. So here we are with the Pitchcar Extension 2, more speed, more fun. Now this, out of the ones that I was getting, was the one I was really unsure about getting, but I am quite glad I have, for 2 reasons. The first one is going to sound stupid. There's a lot of room in this box for some other pieces. That's a really bad reason to get this expansion. But it comes with 4 of these half corners, so you can use them as a corner like that. You could also use them span around like this as a bit of a kink in a track coming along, or you can just use them with a little bit of a turn and carry on. And that's why this is called more speed, because basically these are going to allow you to not slow down as much as a typical 90-degree bend, because you're only slightly curving. So we've got 4 of those, very nicely done, as the rest of the components are. We've got 2 more straights. Now, these are just generally quite nice to have because in the base game, you are limited to what's in the box, obviously. So having a couple more just means a couple more track designs become possible. And then we have 2 of these, as well as all of these, including small little ones for the 45-degree corners. You could use these on just bits and pieces to maybe make normal corners, like a corner like this, only partially safe. But these have a flat end, which does mean I could use these going into and then out of that tunnel that we saw, the jump from the extension 1 box. That's one option. The other option for using these is to basically loop around and do a crossroads like this, or basically a turnaround that you then have to use. I also have Crossroads, the expansion coming up, so I'll show you that in a second. Why I decided to get this box was because of the 45-degree corners. I wanted these, and I think these open up a few extra options, these corners. It's, like I say, out of the lot, it's probably the one that it was, because it was low stock, I wanted to get it before it went out of stock, more than anything. It's the one that I'm umming and ahhing about in terms of, was it worth it? I like it as an idea, this Crossroads here, but I do have the Crossroads pack. So maybe let's jump into that now. So I'll pack this away and we'll have a look. Okay, everyone, so this is Pitchcar extension number 5, the Cross. Now, this is a very small expansion, doesn't even come in a box. So let's just crack this one open. Sorry, you get to hear the tape there. Let's pull these pieces out. Do that carefully so I can put it back in the bag in a bit. So we have Crossroads. Literally in this there are 2 bits of wood. So this is what, £12–13 for these 2 bits of wood. But these offer, unlike the ones in the Pitchcar 2 box where it's just a crossroad, you're always going to use this as a crossroad. The bit that made me buy both, that one has the flat edges. This one doesn't have flat edges, so you have to use this with just the normal track. But the image here, let me show you. So you can use one as just a generic crossroad, and then one you could have it as some tight corners put together. Now this table that I play on is a good size for pretty much every game, but it's a little bit limited. So just having the ability to have this side curve round like this, and this one curve the other way, meaning you can basically have the track come round here in a very small, tight area that you wouldn't normally. I really like that idea. So that is why I picked these ones up. You could very easily, for instance, have this go round, come out, come back, and then going somewhere cool. So you can literally use them next to each other as 2 different things. Or, you know, you could, if you can sort the... These are slightly long, so you might have to cut them, or just the next bit of straight, for instance, has it overflowing on it. You could very much have it, and that be quite a sharp corner for people to go around. It doesn't quite match up like the normal corners. There is a bit of a point here. So maybe you wouldn't want to use, you'd want to have maybe a straight here, and then leading into the next one, as almost on this picture here. Maybe that's why they're not using them very often together, though in one of the diagrams they do. And yeah, this is the Cross. Quite happy with this one. Just opens up some opportunities to build stuff. I'll just move this one out of the way, and then we'll have a look at the final expansion that I picked up. Somewhat saving the best to last, we have Pitchcar 6 extension No Limit. Now this is, I'm going to say this is my favourite sounding expansion, despite probably number 1, the extension box with the original jump, probably being the better. But this is the one that sounds the most fun. Basically, this takes little bits of the track and makes them extreme. So your normal corner piece is double the thickness of this, and this makes it a very tight turn. You're much more likely to fall off going round the corner. To make it harder, you could even have a straight that is half thickness leading into it. I particularly like those. That's going to make some tricky tracks at some point. And then we got some of these. Then we get to the real fun of this set. So this is some pieces of track which can be used for multiple things. So first of all, you can use them and you have only one square. So you can use it and then there'll be one hole. You can use it and there'll be 2 holes for players to avoid. You can then use it as a, and there's 2 thicknesses here. So this one is for the slightly thinner one, and this is for the slightly thicker one. So you've got jumps in the track, not leading up, but in the track. And yes, you can bounce through the middle potentially. You know, you could only have one of them in and have that piece there, for instance. The other thing you can do with this, however, is actually have a gap in the track and actually do this. Now, if you were to do this, that would be an extremely hard section of track, to be fair. But what you might want to do is have it where you have the jump and you can actually, this keeps pulling apart, but I think as soon as you've got extra track here, it's not going to do that as easily. It says and suggests you can put it underneath, and it basically makes a higher, more angled ramp, basically. So you could then try and risk it and go over the jump, and you probably want a bit of a straight on the end of this, to be honest, like coming along here, going straight into a corner, that would never work. Or you can try and slip along this sort of skinny track. This, to me, just seems to really give some more options to make the track awkward, difficult, more fun, with random little sort of jump, speed bump things to avoid. And I might have to get a second one of these sets, just so other corners, because it would have been nice to have maybe 2 of each of these. I think 1 of each. Yes, it makes sense because you're not going to use too many of these harder ones in a build, but you might want, say, just 2 corners rather than a straight and a corner being the thin pieces. Though again, you know, they nicely fit together, so you can have a long skinny section and stuff like that. And that, well, that is all of the stuff that I got for Pitchcar. I've been absolutely loving it. This is only going to help it get to the table that little bit more. And yeah, so much fun. And yeah, lots of expansions for a fun game.